Hey, what's going on, Guardians? TBL here, coming back at you with some more Destiny on the PlayStation 4. Now, as we get closer and closer to the release of the Rise of Iron, more and more of you guys have been asking me, what exactly should we be doing to prepare ourselves for the expansion? And the answer to that is a lot of things: edging factions, getting your legendary marks built up, and of course, picking up the weapons from the vendors right now that are really, really good. Because chances are, when Rise of Iron comes out, those weapons are probably going to change, or at the very least, they're going to change their roles. So, in today's video, I figured I'd give you guys a quick rundown of some of the best vendor weapons to pick up right now. Some of them you guys will know, some of them are kind of sleeper hits that not a lot of people have picked up. But picking up these weapons now might be a good idea, as who knows how they'll change in the Rise of Iron. Alright, let's go ahead and get started here. Alright, first up we're going to be taking a look at the Crucible Quartermaster. And the very first weapon we'll be taking a look at is, of course, the Hawksaw Legendary Pulse Rifle, the king of the Crucible right now, or at least one of the kings. As you guys know, right now this pulse rifle is fantastic, and the vendor version comes stock with some great perks like SPO28, which increases aim assist, fitted stock for extra stability, counterbalance, which nearly eliminates horizontal recoil, and finally small bore and single point sling. So between fitted stock and counterbalance, you're going to have fantastic stability, so you can run single point sling for the faster weapon swaps or small bore for the additional stability and range. It's just a really strong weapon, and the vendor version is fantastic. Alright, next up we've got the next big thing. This is the Crucible Shotgun, and it's kind of interesting. It's got smooth ballistics, which does boost aim assist, as well as crowd control and full auto. Now this is already a fast firing shotgun. Mixing in full auto makes this a great PvE weapon. In the middle tree, it's got both perfect balance and hand-laid stock, meaning you can run hand-laid stock, full auto, crowd control. I mean, that's just perfect for PvE. Definitely a great buy. Alright, next up now, we've got the Ruin Wake Legendary Machine Gun. This thing is fantastic. The Ruin Wake is one of the best machine guns in Year 2, and the vendor version is no slouch. It's got CQB ballistics, smooth ballistics, and field choke, as well as counterbalance, high caliber rounds, braced frame for perfect stability, and finally, rangefinder, meaning you can have perfect stability and maximum range on this thing. Now, for a little bit of a comparison here, the Ruin Wake and the Objection 4 are both in the same archetype. High damage, high rate of fire, matching the Year 1 BTRD in everything except magazine size. And of course the BTRD was probably the best legendary machine gun in Year 1. So the vendor Ruin Wake is fantastic, definitely pick it up. Also worth noting that the Objection 4 at the New Monarchy has almost the exact same role. Alright, next up we've got the Havoc Pigeon Sidearm. Now I know sidearms are in a weird spot right now, but this thing's rocking both True Shot and Sure Shot iron sights, as well as reactive reload for bonus damage when you reload after getting a kill. It's got Relentless Tracker as well, and in the final tree we've got hand-loaded, quick draw, and appended magazine, meaning you can choose between hand-loaded for extra range or appended magazine for a larger magazine size. I think it bumps it up to about 15. Overall, this is a pretty darn good sidearm. And the mixture of hand-loaded plus reactive reload can make for some interesting plays. Alright, now that we've covered the standouts, there's a couple of extra things here at the Crucible Quartermaster that aren't the best right now, but could become really good with a very certain weapon balance. First up, we've got the Deal Breaker, which is the high-impact auto rifle that does come with SC Hollow for the increased aim assist, crowd control for bonus damage, counterbalance, and in the final tree, high-caliber rounds, speed reload, and braced frame, meaning you can run this thing with braced frame and counterbalance for perfect stability plus crowd control. That is a fantastic role for high-impact autos, and if they ever get a buff, this thing will be a real contender. Alright, similarly, we've got the Antipodal Hindsight, which is another high-impact auto rifle. It does come with the Reflex Sight, which does boost aim assist, as well as Rodeo in the first perk tree. In the middle tree, it's got fitted stock, injection mold, and rifled barrel. And finally, we've got Hidden Hand, meaning you can get a maximum range, decent aim assist version of this auto rifle. Not the best, but certainly very interesting. Again, should high impact autos ever get a buff. Alright, now let's check out some of the Vanguard weapons. Number 1, we've got the Yabberhake D. Now, this legendary sidearm is really interesting. It's got a couple of really great perks that I'm absolutely in love with. In the first tree, it does have Sure Shot for that extra aim assist, and then next up we've got a mixture of crowd control and battle runner, meaning kills will grant you additional agility and additional damage. Finally, it's got speed reloads, skip rounds, and feather mag, which is kind of a lackluster final tree. You'd want something to boost maybe the gun's range like hand-loaded or a pinned magazine, although the base magazine size of 15 is really good on this thing. But that mixture of crowd control and battle runner is just so much fun to play with. Alright, next up we've got the Questing Beast Legendary Auto Rifle. Now hold on, before you laugh me out of the building, it's got some pretty interesting perks. First up, it does have the reflex sight for improved aim assist, which is always nice, followed up by spray and play for the increase of reload speed, fitted stock, oiled frame, will of light, and finally glass half full, meaning you can have spray and play, fitted stock, glass half full, which isn't so bad. It means that if you can control this gun's recoil, it might not be a bad choice for PvE overall. Alright, next up we've got another forgotten weapon, the Apple of Discord. This archetype of pulse rifles is kind of in a bad spot, but this particular roll isn't bad at all. Of course, being a Haka pulse rifle, it fires an extra burst, and it comes stock with SC Hollow for improved target acquisition. It's also got Headseeker for bonus precision damage after landing body shots, Counterbalance which nearly eliminates horizontal recoil, and finally, we've got Snapshot, hand-loaded, and reinforced barrel, meaning you can get just about maximum range on this thing with Counterbalance with Headseeker. That's not a bad roll at all. Hopefully that archetype sees some kind of buff in the Rise of Iron. Alright, let's head over to the factions. First up, we've got Dead Orbit, and in the first tree, we've got a gun that's really good, but doesn't have that great of a vendor roll. The Paleo Contact JPK-43 is a workhorse of a weapon, and while the vendor roll's not that great, it's got like Hipfire and Icarus on it. But if you're a member of Dead Orbit, you could get one of these from the faction package that is absolutely fantastic, and if you do, it's absolutely worth it. The Paleo Contact JPK, when rolled correctly, is a great weapon. I actually have a review of my personal roll over on the Planet Destiny channel. And again, while the vendor roll isn't perfect, it's still a really good gun. Alright, moving on to the Hung Jury, the previous king of PvE. Now, while Dead Orbit doesn't have the same roll of this gun that it did when the Taken King first came out, the version it's got is still alright. It is rocking life support, which is a clutch perk, single point sling, feather mag, and third eye. Which again, while a far cry away from the old triple tap extended mag's Firefly roll, is still pretty good for PvE. So it too deserves an honorable mention. Next up, we've got the sleeper hit from the Dead Orbit, the Hitchhiker FR4. This thing is actually pretty darn good. It is a maximum impact fusion rifle that comes base with the reflex sight, which boosts aim assist. It's also got hidden hand for an even bigger boost to aim assist, and in the middle tree it's rocking lightweight, braced frame for extra stability, and oiled frame. Finally, it's got hot swap for that bonus bit of accuracy when you swap to the weapon. Overall, not a bad roll. Not a bad roll at all for a fusion rifle like this. The amount of aim assist you're going to be getting from it, plus the already high base range, makes it a real contender. If you can deal with that slow charge time, it's not bad at all. Alright, let's move on to the future War Cult, who arguably has some of the best weapons in the game, and they really show off with the vendor rolls here. We've got the Vanity first up. Now, this interesting looking Nerf gun comes with a pretty good roll. It does have Sure Shot, which does boost handling and aim assist, as well as Third Eye, which keeps your radar active when you aim. Next up, it's got extended mags for a larger magazine size, as well as rifled barrel, which basically doubles this gun's range. Meaning you can either choose between a higher magazine size, which I think bumps it up to 10, or double range. Double range is probably what you're going to want to go with there. And finally, we've got life support and exhumed. Of the two, you're probably going to be running with life support. This is actually a pretty good roll for this type of hand cannon. If you didn't have to pick between extra magazine size and extra range, this thing would be all over the Crucible. Next up, we've got the Villainy Legendary Pulse Rifle, and this thing is really interesting. It doesn't have any aim assist boosters in its first tree, but it does come with Headseeker, and in the middle tree it's got Perfect Balance, Reinforced Barrel, and Skip Rounds. Finally, we're rocking Glass Half Full, meaning you can either run a Perfect Balance Glass Half Full Headseeker roll or a Headseeker Rifled Barrel Glass Half Full roll. Either way, between Headseeker and Glass Half Full, you're going to be getting a lot of bonus damage procs on this gun, which definitely make it an interesting one in my book. One day, the medium impact pulses will shine again. Alright, next up we have the gun that literally everyone should have on one of their characters, the Vacancy Legendary Fusion Rifle. This is low-key probably the best fusion rifle in the game. It comes with Torch HS2, which does increase aim assist. It's got hot swap for that bonus accuracy. In the middle tree it is rocking enhanced battery and braced frame for perfect stability, and finally this thing has got rangefinder on it. Overall, this is just as perfect of a fusion rifle as you can really get, and everybody should pick this thing up. It's really just too good to miss out on. Alright, finally we've got Executor Hideo and the new Monarchy, and first up we've got the Righteous 7 Legendary Auto Rifle. This thing is so good, guys. It's such a workhorse weapon and the same archetype as the Paleo Contact JPK. This thing is rocking perfect balance in its first perk tree, as well as oiled frame, lightweight and reinforced barrel, and finally counterbalance, meaning you can have a perfect balance reinforced barrel counterbalance roll for nearly maximum range and maximum stability. It's super good. Next up, we have what I consider to be the sleeper hit for the new Monarchy, the Appellant 3 Legendary Hand Cannon. This thing's in the same archetype as the Thorn, and it's got a really interesting role. First up, it's got both True Sight and Sure Shot Iron Sight, meaning you have your choice between the two of them. It's also got Last Resort, and in the middle tree, it's got hand-loaded, small bore, and rifled barrel, followed up by Hidden Hand. Now, why is this so good? Well, not only do you have your pick of the best aim assist boosting sights for hand cannons, you also have 3 choices for range boosters in the middle tree. Of which, of course, I usually go for Rifled Barrel and Hidden Hand, which boosts this gun's already high base aim assist of 76 even higher. I mean, the stats on this thing are really good. If you can deal with the higher rate of fire and keep your shots steady, this thing might be a real contender. Definitely worth picking up before Rise of Iron. Alright, next up we've got the Conviction 2 new Monarchy Sidearm. This thing does come with Sure Shot Iron Sights for the increased aim assistance, rangefinder, spray and play, and hand loaded, meaning you've got pretty much a maximum range sidearm here. Now it does also have high caliber rounds as well as a pinned magazine, but I find the base magazine of 15 to be pretty good on a sidearm, and the double boost between rangefinder and hand loaded is more than good enough for me. Alright, next up we've got the Burden of Proof 11. Now this is a pretty darn good PvE shotgun from the new Monarchy. In the first tree, it does have smooth ballistics, which does increase aim assist, as well as aggressive ballistics. Next up, it's got rangefinder for that extra range. The middle tree, it's got high cal rounds and rifled barrel, which mixes in perfectly with that rangefinder. It's also got hand-laid stock if you preferred more stability on faster rate of fire shotguns like this. And finally, we've got Final Round, which is a fantastic shotgun perk. Of course, the last round of your magazine deals bonus damage. Overall, not a bad PvE shotgun. And last on our list, of course, is the Objection 4 Legendary Machine Gun. This thing is amazing. It's the exact same archetype of machine gun as the BTRD and the Ruin Wake from earlier in this video, and it has a very similar role. The only difference is this doesn't have braced frame, it has small bore instead. But the combination of smooth ballistics, counterbalance, small bore, and rangefinder make this gun an absolute contender. Definitely pick it or the Ruin Wake up if you haven't gotten them already. Or maybe both if you've got the legendary marks for it. But alright Guardians, that's it for our list of some of the vendor weapons you should probably get your hands on before the Rise of Iron drops. I tried to cover most of what I consider to be some of the best weapons in the game, as well as a few sleeper hits that not too many people know about. If you've got any specific vendor weapon favorites or secrets of your own, be sure to let us know down in the comment section below. And if you're a Guardian who's got a ton of legendary marks and was looking for something to spend them on, hopefully this helped. But alright, it's going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.